How do wildfires affect air pollution?
From 2004, the research on wildfires affecting air quality has been shown. PM2.5 is a particulate matter within the air, and breathing too much of this can pose health risks. PM2.5 is caused by combustion. A PM2.5 of less than 35.4 is moderate and preferably should be lowered to avoid health risks. Anything above is unhealthy, and as it rises, the more unhealthy it becomes. Throughout the years, you can see how wildfires have affected the average daily PM2.5. You can see there is a correlation between spikes in the area burned by the wildfires with percentage of monitored days over PM2.5 standard. Using the two graphs together, you can see that as both orange and black lines spiked from the second graph, it shows on the first graph how there are more dots where the average daily PM2.5 is more than an unhealthy intake. For a clear example, you can look at years on both graphs from 2016 to 2018. Through those years, you can see both graphs spike.
When the fires in January started to burn neighborhoods, the lead released into the atmosphere was extremely dangerous for anyone who would breathe it in. There was a large spike in lead released in just 24 hours, from 10 a.m. on January 8th to 10 a.m. on January 9th. The lead concentration jumped from basically 0 to 0.5 micrograms per liter. Large spikes like this are extremely dangerous. However, there was a factor that slightly helped to this situation.
Where the fires took place lie in a negative correlation zone, meaning the Santa Ana winds were blowing lead particles away from the original site, which could have been why levels began to drop after another 24 hours. Data recovered of wildfires when occurring upwind have presented a pattern of increased particulate matter throughout the air, resulting in the PM 2.5 levels to increase, backed up by evidence of a strong positive correlation between winds and PM 2.5 levels during major fires. An example of this is the Bahia's fire in 2001, burning 11,000 acres, resulting in an increase of PM 2.5 levels in San Diego.
The impact of January 2025, the Palisades and Eaton fires. As we know, lead is released into the air and becomes an airborne pollutant that can be dangerous when inhaled. It can not only pollute the air, but it can also settle in soil and affect our food and crops. This causes long-term environmental harm in our soil and in our air. The graph on the slide shows the Eaton and Palisades fire and how they both contributed to the unhealthiness of the air. Based on the graph, we can see different cities near the Palisades and Eaton fires and how each were affected by the fires, and how the closer cities are more in the orange and red zones for unhealthy for sensitive groups of people and unhealthy in general.
In conclusion, overall wildfires are an unavoidable natural disaster that will happen in our environment. Wildfires will release many harmful particles into the atmosphere that can cause many dangers for our lungs and pollute our environment. The best we can do is to protect ourselves and mitigate the damage that is to come from these disasters.
There is not much we can do to stop these wildfires from occurring, but there are things that we can do to prevent or limit the damage that the effects of these fires have on us and the air we breathe. For the air, we can have people try more effectively limit the fire spread and or prevent these wildfires and hope to limit the spread of their negative effects. To prevent harm to us, we can implement policies or habits to stay inside when a fire is occurring, within a certain proximity, to try and limit the smoke that we inhale. We can also make sure that windows and doors are blocked off and the AC is set to recirculate to ensure none of the wildfire air comes inside. Another thing that we can do is cities sending people out to clear out dry vegetation, which adds fuels to the wildfires.